Well, if you missed my earlier live YouTube Q&A, an exciting event, a landmark event, a groundbreaking event, I can assure you, you didn't miss much. In fact, probably the highlight was when everybody said they couldn't hear me, and so I came up with it. Oh, you can't even see it probably because it's backwards, but it says this is a disaster, shortest Q&A ever. So today is Friday. 49ers will release their official injury report later in the day. Um, for those of you who did not tune in to my YouTube from last night or yesterday afternoon, the players who did not practice: Fred Warner, George Kittle, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, Chris Conley, Jacob Cowing, Yetur Gross-Matos. So we're talking two starting linebackers when the 49ers are in their base, Warner and Flanagan-Fowles, two wide receivers, Conley and Cowing. And of course, the 49ers did not open the practice window for Ricky Pearsall, so he won't play this week. And anybody that that they didn't open for this week, I can't imagine on a short week any player will come back and be able to play against Seattle. So that would be Pearsall, and then McCaffrey would be eligible uh, for next week. But I just can't imagine that they'd bring him back on a short week. So one tight end and with Kittle, and then a defensive lineman, Gross Matos. Okay, so what I did do. Oh, another thing. Usually on Friday mornings, I do my 5 49ers to watch. And it's always a little bit iffy when there's a lot of injury concerns because I don't want to say like, D Winters is the guy to watch this week and then have, the 49ers be healthy at linebacker and Winters doesn't get on the field. Or the same thing with, oh my gosh, George Kittle can really work the middle of the field this week against the Cardinals, but then not knowing if he's going to play in this game or not. So if you have any suggestions for my 5 49ers to watch Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals, drop it in the comments section. And by the way, thank you for subscribing, commenting, liking, all of that. I know I did have to rely on the comments during the quote unquote live Q&A that never took place, but I did ask for some questions and some people came through. And this is Artemis 4994. Is it me or do the 49ers not have a legitimate number two running back? That is concerning. They do have a number two running back. His name is Jordan Mason, and the 49ers are relying on him quite heavily. In fact, through 4 games, he has 11 more carries than Christian McCaffrey did through 4 games last season. So think about that. Mason has 91 carries, 447 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Last year at this time, McCaffrey had 80 carries for 459 yards and 6 touchdowns. McCaffrey has one more touch than from last year than Mason has this year. And so that 18 receptions for McCaffrey, 6 receptions for Mason through 4 games. Other than Mason, because I know what you're saying, if McCaffrey isn't able to come back or isn't as effective, the number two running back is Isaac Guerendo, a rookie who's still kind of figuring his way through this offense. But it is all Jordan Mason all the time for the 49ers right now. And so do they have a legitimate number two running back? They did invest a 4th-round draft pick in Isaac Guerendo. He's got size. He's got speed. He just has to learn how to stick his foot in the ground and hit the hole that it's designed to hit. Trixie wants to know, how do we ensure Evan Anderson doesn't get poached? There's only one way to do that, and that's to bring him up to the 53-man roster. So here's what I think. I think if another team comes to Evan Anderson's agent and says, we want to sign you off of the 49ers practice squad, Evans or the agent will go to the 49ers and say, hey, look, the whatever, you name the team, wants to sign our guy, then the 49ers will be put in a bind. Do they create a roster spot for him, or do they allow another team to take him off the 49ers practice squad? I think the 49ers would make a roster move to create space for Evan Anderson on the 53-man roster. I don't think they want to lose him. So to my knowledge, that hasn't happened yet where another team has gone gone to Anderson's agent and asked for him to sign with that team. But that's the only way to ensure that Evan Anderson is not poached off the practice squad. It would be to give him a contract for the 53-man roster, not the practice squad. Here, this is from Gammon Brown. Will Feliciano challenge for the starting center when he comes back from injury? I kind of doubt it. Um, Feliciano does have guard center flexibility, but Jake Brindle has been their starting center for the past year and a half or more than that. He's been starting center for a while now, ever since Alex Mack announced his retirement. So the 49ers have entering the season, or entering this week, I should say, entering week 5, because there were some prolific numbers put up there by the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, as well as by Kirk Cousins of the Falcons. Both of those guys are now, among the top passers as far as yardage, but they also have one more game than Brock Purdy. My point is, 49ers have the second leading rusher in the NFL. They have a quarterback who entered the league, or entered this week, as the leading passer as far as yards. So 49ers offensive line must be doing something right if their offense has been that good. So will he challenge? I don't think so. I think I think what you see is what you get. I think the 49ers offensive line has played reasonably well. Not the best, certainly not the worst. So I don't foresee any changes coming to the 49ers offensive line. Will Graham play? That's from Surfbone. Will Jalen Graham play? Right now, it's kind of trending in that direction. I talked to him earlier in the week, and he said, basically coming back to the 49ers like riding a bike, right? Nothing has changed. He knows the defense. He knows what he's asked to do. And with the injuries to Warner, Flanagan Fowles, and also Winters with the ankle was limited in practice, decent chance that Jalen Graham is in this game, not necessarily as a linebacker, but as a special teams player. Trixie wants to know, hey, another question from Trixie. Thank you so much for the questions. Is there a case to cut Javon Hargrave this season? Pros and cons. Absolutely, there is. I don't see him back next season on his current contract, which calls for him to make $19 million for the 2025 season. So what I would envision is, he's a good player. They want to keep him. No doubt about that. But is he worth $19 million? The team would have to look at that and probably come to the conclusion that no, that is too much for them to spend. So what they could do, what they probably would do, would be to go to him in the offseason, unless the number the 49ers have for him is so low, then it becomes like insulting. But they could go to him and say, hey, look, we don't want to pay you $19 million. We have other cap concerns, everything else, but would you play for this number? They did that with Kyle Juszczyk. They gave him a number that still made him the highest paid fullback in the NFL. He accepted begrudgingly. They did that to Eric Armstead. They gave him a really low number that he said, you know what, I don't think that's worth my while. So he was released, and then he ended up signing a bigger deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So my guess is that I just don't see any way that Hargrave is back on that big number for next year when the 49ers have so many other cap concerns. So that's what I would think. And so in all likelihood, probably a good chance that Javon Hargrave has played his final game for the 49ers. Tyler Jennings, is Pearsall coming back next week? How many snaps do you think he'll get when he does come back? I don't think he's coming back next week because it's the short week against the Seattle Seahawks. And my thought was that the 49ers want to open that practice window for him when he has 3 full weeks of practice, so they can really see how he is as far as physically, but also mentally, as far as knowing the offense, the game plan, what he's supposed to do. So it will be interesting to see what the 49ers do in that regard, because typically the number 4 wide receiver is a guy who also has to play special teams. Right now, he would be the number 4 wide receiver, of course, behind Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Javon Jennings. So when he comes back, I would think that he would be playing maybe a dozen snaps, something like that in the game. So I don't think he certainly won't play Sunday against the Cardinals. That's the first game that he would be theoretically eligible to play in. And I don't think he would play Thursday against Seattle. So they'd probably open the practice window for him next week, meaning next week after the Seattle game. And then you got the full, well, then there's two games, right, before the bye. That would be my best guess as far as when they'll do that. More questions here from that failed attempt at a YouTube live. Um, Gammon Brown, will special teams play improve over the course of the season? What signs point toward optimism? I would suspect special teams will improve. Why do I suspect that? Because I don't think it can get any worse. And what signs point to them improving? It would be the young guys kind of grasping what is being asked of them on special teams. I talked about on a previous YouTube, go back and watch it if you haven't, about all the rookies that are playing. 8 suited up for the game and played in the game against the Patriots. The downside of that is that a lot of those guys are playing special teams. Maybe those guys didn't play a whole lot of special teams in college, so they're kind of learning, acclimating to that role. Let's see here. The rookie that should play more, in your opinion. The rookie that should play more, in my opinion. I guess that would be. I guess Renardo Green, although Isaac Yiadom started to play well in the game against the Patriots. Of course, the Patriots don't have great wide receivers. My guess is, yeah, I would go with Renardo Green, that eventually maybe he takes over that third cornerback role in nickel situation. So look for Renardo Green to get more and more. Uh, let's see. What else do we have here? Um, oh, people were telling me to how to fix it. Um, Here we go. Wally Lama wants to know, Matt, can you think of a hotter game of Candlestick or Kezar than Sunday's 98 forecast? Um, the game that strikes me, I'm trying to think when it was. Let's see if I can do some quick research here while I'm on this. There was a game, and I think it was in the must have been in the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe early 2000s. Wow, I'm really dating myself, aren't I? 49ers played the Cleveland Browns, and I think it was after the new Cleveland Browns. So it was back in it it was at Candlestick Park, and I just remember it's kind of an early season game. And it was hot. It was super hot. Let's see if I can find anything that kind of I'm just you're with me here, right? You're hanging with me. Maybe it would have been 2001. Still looking, folks. 2002. Oh, what I should have done is probably just look at the history. Oh, I bet this is it. I bet this is it. Let's see here. Um, no, that's not it. Although it might be it. Um, there was a game. Maybe I'll look at the. No, this might have been at 87 degrees, but it seems so much hotter. That must not be it. There was a game that it was scorching, um, but maybe I just thought it was. That's the only game I can think of where, man, it was super hot on the field. And so that game that I'm thinking about was September 21st of 2003. And that to me, for whatever reason, that one stands out as a very hot game. And that was 49ers won that game. No, the Browns won that game. Holy cow. How'd the 49ers lose to the Browns? 13-12. Owen Pochman hit 4 field goals in that game for the only 12 points for the 49ers. Okay, I know this has been fascinating. Okay, that's it for now. Again, help me out with your comments about the 5 49ers to watch. Please subscribe, trying to get that number up to 7,000. We're getting closer and closer. And sorry about the abject failure of the 49ers Live. We'll try to get that microphone situation sorted out. So thanks again. And we'll be back probably later in the day with a 49ers injury update with the questionables and doubtfuls and whatever else, however they work that leading into the game week 5 against the Arizona Cardinals.